Welcome back to Let's Talk Racism Ireland. I'm your host, Harrison Paul. Today we have a very, such a difficult episode for you guys to watch. We're going to discuss the death of a young boy from Dublin. I knew of him. We had the same friend groups and kind of knew similar friends and whatnot. This young brother died at age 25. He died the night of the Dublin Riots. There was no follow-up, nothing. It's such a story that it will baffle your ears when you hear it. It'll baffle you when you hear it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I cannot believe what I was hearing. I had to go and get this young lady on the show because I wanted to ensure that you guys could get the opportunity to hear her side of the story. It was on a TikTok live. A few of friends and I who are relentlessly pushing this fight for black people and the liberation and just the rights of black people. We have them often, and I didn't join this night, but this young lady joined, and they actually informed me the next day about a young lady had joined and said that her brother died during the riots. I called her, we spoke. The story really has me shook up. I can't even begin to describe to you. But I just want to quickly give a little segment before we go into that interview and just say, guys, I'm at a place now where we are having these anti-migrant movements, and I'm just trying to understand how we do not have any movements that are pushing back against this movement with as much veracity as it's coming at us. For generations, I want to say years, decades, racism was something that people could do under the covers. We are now entering into a new phase in which you can be openly racist. And this is now when we cannot settle for an ally that is half in, half out. We cannot settle for allies who like what you say sometimes but don't like what you say other times. We are trying to finish off the situation once and for all. It's optimistic, but I'm sure we can try. I'm going to call Bibi now, the sister of this young man, and she's going to tell you about her story. So we're going to give her a call now, and you guys can hear what she has to say. Hello, Bibi, how are you?
I'm good, not too bad yourself. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very good. Thank you, sister. I'm very, very good. I want to thank you firstly for coming on the show today. I understand that the situation obviously is still sore because of the main fact that you've not even been given closure or been given any sort of clarity on the topic. But we're just going to start off a little bit light, and we're going to just discuss about you and your family. Where are you originally from, and how long have your family been living here in Ireland?
We're originally from Nigeria, and we've been living in Ireland close to 24 years now, actually.
Right. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. 24 years. Yes. I was very familiar with your brother actually when we were a lot younger. Growing up in Dublin, being kind of a smaller city, especially being the minorities, you knew almost a lot of the black people there. You knew everyone's face. I can't remember having too many interactions with your brother, but I definitely knew that I would have seen him once or twice, and our friends
Yeah.
were very much similar friend groups. And yeah, just kind of happened in a way that we never actually probably had our own real interactions. But you're saying that your family have been here for 20 years. You're actually a working lady, contributing to the economy. I just want this to be known because we need people to understand that during this time, during this lackluster, I guess, or rather, should I say, during this vicious time lackluster kind of attitude towards it really is not going to help anybody, or an understanding perspective towards migration, because people like you who have been working and applying themselves and helping build the economy are still getting the heat of disrespect. And all you've known is Irish culture. So your brother, what age was he?
My brother passed away at 25. Yeah.
25 years old. And can you please let us know about what exactly happened?
Um, exactly happened to him, leading to his death, or
Yes. Well, you can start from leading to it. Definitely. Let us know the
um,
leading up to it.
let's say from about um, age 16-ish, 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was showing, a bit of mental health challenges. And we had lost our home about that year 2013 slash, yeah, 2013 slash 2014. No, 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 we lost in around 2014-ish. So due to um his behavior and everything, and because it was just me, my mom, and my brother, we couldn't be put in the same temporary
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
accommodation. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being put somewhere else where he got the support he needed. Over time, he had shown progress of getting better, starting school, starting going back to the gym and everything. Like you said, if you had met my brother, you would know him for football, really. You would know him for being,
Right.
the the life of a party, and just always
Right.
just proper cheeky Dubliner, always has a
Of course.
response to everything. But over time, due to life, due to I would say influences from society,
Yeah.
and obviously dealing with his own challenges led to him,
Yeah.
not, not being able to accomplish a lot of things, uh, which also down more, and he wanted to also be with us. And that's one thing I can attest by, the years that we were apart, is that he really wanted to be back with us, but he couldn't be back with
Yeah.
us. And I could say
Yeah.
that that really is one of the major things that did affect my brother. And I and my mom, and we advocated, over time, for us to be put in the same place, because we knew that at least if we had an eye on him and we are able to, um,
Right.
you know, see him every day, talk to him every day, being able to be around family, around the people that you love, are eating
Exactly.
being in that family unit again, and I can say that's literally what triggered us, and well, what triggered my brother, really going down the slippery hill of, mental health.
Yeah.
And yeah, so after a while, my brother, he was moved from hostel to hostel. Um, he became very defensive. Someone who used to be bubbly, stopped being bubbly. And I,
Mm.
even during the time I and my family were homeless, I was still working. I was in uni as well, so I was also working in the homeless sector as well. A lot of my
Mm.
colleagues, know that as well, and I was opportuned to actually to be working in a place my brother had stayed, and somebody kind of like put one and two together, figured out, do you know this person? Da, 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 da. And they just told me an incident that happened at the hostel. And
Mm.
they said, imagine just before you started working, like at least 2 weeks before you got in here, that they had moved him to another hostel due to profiling. And he was literally profiled and bullied. And but the minute he was and I think they were stepping up to him, and they didn't think he would reply because he kept quiet. And due to his
Mm-hmm.
issues, he did mental health challenges. He didn't, he wasn't aware of his what's the word, um keeping himself clean and everything, because he was diagnosed with,
Mm.
schizophrenia. So they picked on him. literally. And then they tried to like
Mm.
bully him, and until they triggered him to
Mm.
defend himself. And you, like anybody
Mm.
that knows my brother, he's tall, he's fit before, you know,
Mm.
the
Mm.
years. And one thing he can do is stand his ground. And what he would
Mm.
never be the first one to look for trouble. And so when
Mm.
they realized, oh, maybe when they start to see that he was defending himself, they moved him instead of cautioning the other two Irish fellas that, was trying to bully my brother. And hearing that at work where I was working, where I was advocating, safeguarding, other people that were there. Bear in mind, I was also homeless as well. But I was putting my
Mm.
life to the side, hearing that, okay, I am doing all this amazing work to protect these individuals, to make sure that, the service is running and everybody's safe, to know that,
Right.
oh, nobody did that for my own brother who was in this service,
Exactly.
which was
Exactly.
shocking. So I would speak to my brother here and there on Facebook. He would call me. At this time he was a full grown adult. He could either advocate, but he would normally, keep to himself, isolate himself. So over time, I kind of figured out he became a shadow of himself because he wasn't getting the help and support he needed.
Exactly.
All he wanted to do was get out of that horrible cycle of, you know, um, homelessness, and that temporary
Yeah.
feeling of, oh, this is not where you're going to be tomorrow. And that feeling that, you get when people don't, like, they pretend they want to help you, but they're just doing it to sign off on papers. And I remember
Right.
he did say that to me, and I would say, look, could you please just make me like your next of kin? Like, I would always, encourage him to just, if anything goes wrong, um tell them to call me. At least I know that even if you're not
Right.
able to speak or say the right things, I will be able to, help you, or help you get, the right channels that would support you. So over a while now, so leading to my brother's death, passing, uh, my brother has been staying at the Salvation Army for, I think,
Right.
a year and a bit now. And I'm guessing they would have known his routine. They would have known him personally, because over a while, even if you have a resident or in a hostel in a service for more than even 3 months, you already know the routine. And
Right.
my mom got a call from the Gardaí. She didn't get a call from the hostel. She got a call from the Gardaí, and they just said, "Oh, on the 23rd of November, my mom got a call." No, no, no. I think was, yeah, on the 23rd of November, my mom got a call saying, "Oh, from the Gardaí, that they had to come and identify my brother's body, that he was found dead in his room in the Salvation Army." um Past 12 midnight. There was no I wasn't in the country actually, and there was no follow up. There was no information about what happened prior. There was nothing. They
Wow.
just said he came in at past 12, and he went to his room. And that's what they said. He came in at past 12 and they went to his room. So I remember asking my mom, so do they not have room checks around maybe 3 or 2 in the morning? Because room checks are, sporadically spread out. So we would, just in case a service user or a client needs your help or support, or just depending on if they're, drug users, if they're overdosing or anything like that, be
Yes.
able to, quickly help and support them from overdosing.
Yes.
So those are the questions that I would ask my mom and everything. And she said she wasn't giving any answer, and um that what was that after identifying his body, they brought his body to the funeral home. No, there was no before, no after. When my mom identified his body, when my mom identified his body, it was said that he had a scar on his head. So mine is that, is it that when he came into the hostel, did the people, the staff on the staff on duty, did they see his demeanor? Did they look at his face? You know there's a riot going on outside. You know, like certain individuals are in or they're not, you know.
So let us know this, just to quickly input so people understand. Your brother had came into the hostel the night of the Dublin riots, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
The night of the Dublin riots, your brother was outside past 12. He made it inside, and
Made it
then when
inside.
he was found, he went inside and he went straight to bed,
Yes.
right? And there were no checkups on the room,
No.
but you were called to check his body how many days after?
I think it was that same day, literally,
That same day, the same
no,
day you were called
the
to go
next
and
day.
check.
It was the next day.
Right,
Yeah, it was.
right. So meaning his body was there for 24 hours, or his body was there for,
I think it would
like,
have
as
been.
in like that.
It would have been because I'm guessing they checked. They went. The room check was about 6 in the morning, so it would have been past about 5 hours. You know.
Right. So you were called then later that same day.
Okay. Yes. My mom was called.
And were you
Uh,
not given any further information
no,
about what had happened? When you asked what had happened, when you asked how did this happen, you were given zero information.
zero information till about a week ago. It's a week or two ago before the Easter holiday. I passed, and I said to myself. And I could just imagine if somebody had died under my care and how the family
Right,
would
because you're
feel.
you're you work in care right now as well, right?
Yeah, I work in social care.
Social care, and that's perfect, because my mother did some time in social care also, and it's a very serious matter if somebody dies on your shift. So I'm just wondering, how has there been no investigation for anybody on shift, no investigation whatsoever, or information, or really responsibility to how someone died on somebody's shift?
Yeah. So I actually emailed them and they actually did get back to me. I think they're still compiling, the information and all that. Is that I remember when I used to work in homelessness, in the homeless sector, our room checks are spread out. I've worked with the likes of Peter McCurry, Dublin Simon, I've worked with agencies, so like I'm quite experienced. So I know that room
Hmm.
checks are spread out. They're spread out along the night just to make sure everybody is alive. Everybody's well and kicking and there's no trouble going on. So I want to know what time in the morning, because I think my mom said around like 5 or 6. That's when they did the next room check. From 12 to 6 is when they did the next room check and they found him dead. And that's really it. No information, no nothing. My family, my mom and my brother and my sisters had to go and collect his stuff from the hostel. They were even calling my family, like, come collect his things. And it was a thing that it was a tough thing that my brother, our older brother, had to, had to organize, because my mom wasn't, she was still in shock. I didn't know how she was even able to identify his body, but my mom kept saying he has he has a bump on his head. That is not his head. He looked like he had a bump on his head. He has a cut around his brow area. So it's like, how did this happen? So you're telling me someone would have come into your hostel with a cut and a huge bump on their head, and you didn't stop them, or you didn't seem to ask, "Are you okay? How are you?" That kind of thing, just to see whether they're steady on their feet. So
Like,
it's mind-boggling, because
it's mind-boggling.
it's
It's
really it's
unbelievable.
really mind-boggling, because it feels like they're really used to seeing people die and everything, but it's it seems very unfair, because
It's un.
I know my brother he might have, mental health challenges, but he's not a troublemaker. That's one thing
Right.
I'll tell you. If you do find his trouble, he will stand his ground, but he will not be the first one to make trouble. And I can only imagine, like I know my brother, mental health challenges and being in hostel, either whatever he does and his habits. I can tell you for a fact is that my brother didn't want to die. He didn't want to die.
And I will get into that. I will get into that now. Were they trying to insinuate, what were they trying to insinuate the cause of death was?
They went in, they did not insinuate anything. Like you don't, they were like, when the Gardaí came, the Garda that, investigated his room and everything, they were like, does it look like a suicide? But there was nothing proving that it was a suicide. That's one thing they kept saying, that it might be suicide. I'm just like, no. Like there's nothing around his body that states suicide. He was
How can you
hit.
make a reckless claim? He
Thank
was
you.
hit. He was struck.
He was hit. He went to sleep. I bet he did not know that he sustained such a like a head injury, and he passed. And I'm guessing if somebody would have either checked on time, it could have been that little hope to be found. That's really it. You know, I'm
I'm
sorry.
so sorry, sis.
You know, and I
I'm
know
so
that
sorry.
I just always know because I found someone at at the minute that you could hear that they're about to pass. And that's when it comes to you doing your room checks regularly, abiding by the policy of your organization to keep the service users under your care safe. You're telling me someone came in after the room check and you did not decide to go back and check again. That is negligence, and you know that there's already a situation outside whereby there's a riot, and the riot is not like maybe both the Irish individuals and the immigrants that are coming together to stand on the right. It was more or less
Right. It was
Irish.
a racist
It
riot.
was a racist riot. It was a racist riot. So why did you not think to check upon him? Why did like my friend called me, be like, after I even got the
You're
news, was like, why did you?
exactly. Friends were even checking up on their
They
black
were
friends to
like,
say, "Did you get home okay?"
yes, they were like, oh, my brother is still stuck in town. Da, 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 that one of my friend's younger brother just came in. And look, he just came in now. Like, oh, everybody was rejoicing to see their sibling walk in because people were in college, they were studying for exams during that period, and they were in town, they were doing the last minute. Maybe when you just are working in town or you're transiting through town, you have
Yes.
to go through town. When you like the the emotions, the news and everything that I got from people when I was calling, even after I heard my brother's demise, like, I hope you guys are okay. I hope this and this. They didn't even know my brother had passed, but I would just be, look, I need to, move on. I couldn't even come back home, that kind of thing. My mom she was in this state of shock. I was even scared that I would lose my, because my mom is older. So
Right, right. Her heart, yes.
like it was very tough on us that the only crazy thing is that and I know in the hearts of hearts, like they need to check those cameras. They need to check the cameras, him entering the hostel. They need to check the cameras outside the hostel, and they need to check the cameras maybe along the alleys or anything and see how he was. Like I really just want to see footage of how he came into the hostel, because that would let me know whether he had been hit or not. And that would give us closure.
But you know what? You know what really hurts me, sis? What I'm I don't know. What hurts me the most is that you're here. How long after? How long has it been exactly?
Where in Ireland.
How long has it been since the incident?
It's been 5 months. He passed away in November.
It's been 5 months, yet you are still asking these literally straightforward questions of check the cameras. And there's another
Yeah.
fact that you told me off air that I just want people to know. You're still waiting on the autopsy of your brother? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you come again? Are you still with me?
Unstable.
Hello? Are you still with me?
I can
Yeah, can you
keep
repeat that again about in regards to the autopsy with your brother? You're still waiting on it?
we're still he's
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. The line is just cut there. Um, honestly, this has been a. Um, we're gonna try and get her back on the show now. She's definitely gonna come back. We're gonna try and have her back. Just a bit of a technical difficulty at the moment, but I want everybody at home as you're listening to this young lady to understand that these are the reasons why we cannot allow ourselves as black people to kind of just go with the wind, and just flow with however way things happen politically for us in this country. You know, I was speaking to her off the air, and I was speaking to another brother of mine, a friend of mine. I was saying, you know, African Americans have built themselves an infrastructure where there are organizations that are there ready to back black people, knowing they will be undermined, knowing they will be disregarded in a situation such as this. And I always force the fact and force the notion that we need to understand, brothers and sisters, that just because you have a few pub friends and you go to the pub with some white people, it does not mean that life is racism is a done thing. There are people who are still very much going through serious matters. We talk about the fact that black women are 4 times more likely to die from childbirth, from miscare, from the hospitals. Just because it's not your wife's child, just because you haven't missed a wife, and now you have to raise a child without the mother, you forget about these situations. You have to know that there, on a micro scale, you may have some relationships that I would even doubt those relationships, but are manageable. Can I say? We have BB back on the air. Let's just have her here. Hello, sis. Hello.
Hello, my connection
Hello.
was just, can you hear me?
No problem. No problem. I just want to re-thank you again. We're not done. I just want to re-thank you again because I know this is very difficult. I just want to thank you. And I was just saying, when you went off air for a second, I was just literally saying that we need to understand as black people that we have to become proactive people, because here they don't understand that the racism actually affects how you were treated, the seriousness in which she was taken. They saw an African woman, which was your mother. You weren't even in the country. They hear an African woman with an African accent and they disregard her and they don't respect her. As African peoples, we experience that. We experience this. We understand this discrimination, this typical racist where you don't see someone as much of a human
Yeah.
because of their background. It's just an African woman. It's just an African woman. But that's you're hearing. You know what's the most important thing about this is that you get to actually hear someone's, and you act. How do I say this? You know, the actualization of your situation. You know, ignorance is bliss to a lot of us. We get on with our lives and whatever, but here is someone's story. You can hear this is real. And if you think that us becoming people who are proactive fighting on the cause for black people, and you don't think it's an important cause because you haven't lost a brother yet, or you haven't lost a son, and then you're forgetting about the people who are. So there are two angles at this, and we'll go back into your story now. There are two angles, and I don't even know which, because both are just, you know what I mean, are literally so much for us to unpack. There's the side of the fact that the negligence from the actual hostel, and then there's a side about the fact that your brother came in from the riots. These riots and this anti-immigrant movement and what it's causing people. Now, I really would love to speculate and confirm that the death of your brother came from these riots, and we can be sure probably in our hearts that it did come from that. But for the now, we can that takes us to the negligence. Till this day, we have not received an autopsy for your brother who died a few months back. I don't
Definitely.
even think if I've ever heard of anything like that. I don't even think if I've ever heard anything like that. Can you explain to me how is it that up until now we still do not have an autopsy for your brother? How how does
Sincerely,
how does that something like that happen?
sincerely, their excuse for 6 to, they said 6 months because there's a backlog. That's the reason that there's a backlog, and they'll get to it. And honestly, I just right now thinking over and over and over and over. I believe that they're trying not to just tie this down to, you know, the event of that day. Do you get
You're
me?
right.
They're
Because I
trying
think yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah,
they're
yeah,
trying
yeah,
because like
yeah,
I due to I don't know, I don't want to bring up a death that happened I think a year or two ago, George Nakencho, that kind of
yeah.
thing.
Of
And
course. Yeah,
when I heard that, like my whole family, everybody, like even to the protest, we were there. I just feel like even when the Gardays are trying to explain the whole uh 23rd of what happened on the 23rd, you see that they have a way of saying it, but not pointing at, oh, what was the trigger, that kind of thing. Okay, you're telling me that someone stabbed someone or someone got stabbed. I don't know what was the reason,
right.
there hasn't even been substantial evidence to the reason why the riot started. And due to that reason, like, there was an uproar in Dublin city centre, which, put a lot of people's lives at risk. And
Exactly.
I can only imagine anybody with if I'm trying to like narrate this and see it from a part where this is a vulnerable young man. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, a vulnerable young man, and I can tell you that. Do you know how the city center can be? And I can tell you, they must have said something to him. They must have tried to, try to push him, to bully him, or something like that.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and that is,
Exactly.
I can already see it. I could see that. I can imagine, the whole riot would have even made him scared, that kind of thing. And he's
Exactly.
trying to run
Exactly.
home. And I just know how it went. Like, he's trying to go home. And I bet someone's just gonna be GKs, get out of the country. And you don't even know. I don't feel safe in Dublin City Centre right now. Right now, I don't. Anything past anything past 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, when it's becoming too dark, I clench my purses. I hold onto my bag tight. I never thought I would be that kind of person, but that's
Can
that's
you
just me.
imagine?
And you walk,
Can you
and
imagine?
you walk to where everybody is as fast as you can, as fast as you can. In the past, like 4 to 5 months since that riot, from what I've heard, and I've even noticed it, there's a lot of young youths, like especially from the age of like 18 to about 30. They're loitering around WC, etc. They're making people feel insecure, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
They're
Yes. Yes.
intimidating people,
Yes. Yes.
even with the way they would walk towards you, and maybe they want you to
Exactly.
scared or something like that.
Exactly.
They,
Exactly. And this is the part. Not that I don't think it still validates someone if they're not working, but you're on the way from work. You're on the way from doing a shift. You're on the way from paying taxes. You're on the
I
way from
pray to
paying taxes so
I
their
can,
so their children can be rushed to the hospital in time of need. You're paying taxes
and be
so they can
adequately helped, adequately
sis,
helped. because I can only imagine if I was on shift and I knew the circumstance that was going on outside and somebody came. Either maybe that person was in a burning house or that was in a situation whereby there was an accident. You would go and check on that person. Are you okay? You would check and make sure their vitals are okay. You make sure they're breathing fine. You make sure they're not in a state of panic. Who checked on him? You know this is a racial riot. Who checked on my brother? Who did?
Sis, I'm heartbroken by this story. I'm in disbelief about this story. I really hope this story will just touch people at home, and for them to understand that moderacy is not going to do us any favors. We've been moving on a moderate situation, and might I add in, sis, all we're seeing today is racism that was, I want to say, tamed earlier. And so now a lot of people are the lunatics are being validated to be lunatics because they even see that the good civilians, the quote unquote upright citizens, the well spoken citizens, are also expressing this absolute racist mentality towards people like you and me. And I just want to now ask as a final question, because we don't have much time left, but I just want to ask you, what's the current state of the case? What's the current update? When are you going to get the autopsy?
Um,
Where do we go from here?
we don't know. We do not know anything. We have buried my brother, and I think that's the way they want to do it. They want to bury the case.
So I should have known. You've buried the. So really, how
We,
do they do a? So they don't really. Are they still able to get a cause of death after he's buried?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know because even after that, like when my mom identified his body and everything, and every day that he's at the funeral home, they will say, or they will charge, or you think it's the mortuary, they will charge him. Like we were being, my mom and my brother were being, pushed for you need to do something with him. You need to come and collect him. Like it was like do something now, or I don't even know what they were doing. We were just being rushed. We were rushed to do all that happened. That's it. We were rushed to
Listen
do
to
all
me,
that
sis.
happened.
Listen to me, sis. We don't have much time left, but what I'm gonna say is this: I implore everyone at home to share around this story. We're going to make sure that the media get hold of this story because I've talked to some powerful brother quite recently, and I realized that media is our only strength. It is our only strength in this day and age. Voices is our only strength for the people who don't want to do anything that's too cringy, who don't want to get themselves involved in any confrontation. Well, there are people like you. This could be your sister. This could be your brother. We need to make sure that these situations and we are heard. And when they are heard, that is the only time when people are in fear of their reputation. That is the only time that they care about black people, because we have fought to arrive at a place where there is shame in being racist. There is a little bit of public shame. Remember, the reason why is because prior to this, there was no public shame. So now, but still, if people can dust racism under the rug, they will dust it. So there's so many aspects to this. First of all, I want people to understand how they've treated the family with absolutely no care, yet it's a death, the hostel. I'm just going to share a quick part. When I was in Toronto, I had a time in Toronto, and I went through a tough space for some time, and I lived in a hostel, lived in like a homeless shelter for a short period of time. And I cannot imagine them completely and utterly disregarding if I had passed. And that's not even a mental home institution. I cannot imagine. They had so much, and like you say about the checkups and everything, they were there because there were young people in that place that suffered mental health and suffered whatever, some people from the streets. And, you know, it was, I cannot imagine. We had such a personal relationship with those people. They did very quite well, Toronto. But then again, this is where countries are advanced, right? Where there were black staff. There's a more diverse mentality towards their public. And I can't imagine then after that the police treat you like rubbish. This is now another case on top of the Georgianchenko case. And I just want to ask the Black Irish public, how many deaths do you want before you understand that moderacy has to go?
True
How
that.
many tragedies do you want before we understand that the moderate movement has to go? It is not wrong to radicalize ourselves at this time. And personally, I don't even feel like it's radical. The pain that she's feeling for a loss of her brother is radical pain. The lack of closure, the situation that she's in right now is an intense situation the family is in. So with that, I just want to say, BB, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. If there's anything else that you would like to say on behalf of your family and to anybody listening, is there anything you'd like to share?
Um, to speak up. Coming from a community whereby we were taught to not speak up, taught to hold our opinions to ourselves due to the oppression of society. Speak up.
Exactly.
Speak up because we will start having people our age already having children, and we do not want them
Exactly.
to go through what we went through in primary school, secondary school,
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
the cycle continues. It's not just about racism untold, it's racism ignored.
Exactly.
Racism
Exactly.
ignored. And if we're not speaking up, if we're not holding people accountable, nothing will get done.
Exactly.
That's all I can say. And I hope that this interview, I hope it gets to the right people that can help my family to get more information so we can have closure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, baby. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have a good evening. Thank you
You
so much,
too.
sister.
Bye.
God bless you. Brothers and sisters, I just want to say I'm lost for words. You know, when I started doing what I do, um, I can almost say I didn't anticipate the reality of these situations. I didn't anticipate having to, as you can see, having callers on the show is a kind of a novel thing for this show. I didn't anticipate this. I just want this young girl and her family to be helped. I just want them to be helped. I just want them to be helped, guys. We cannot have an anti-migrant movement the way we are having it now, and we have no real movement that is opposing it with the same amount of intensity in which it is hitting us. Here is a young woman, a family who have lost their brother and son on the night of the Dublin riots. It was not reported. He was put in a coffin and put on the ground. And months on from the event, we are still waiting on an autopsy, still waiting on a cause of death. The police, no one handled them with care. There's no one she can vouch for in this scenario and say that officer, that woman from the hostel, handled my brother with care. He was there. He was actually moved to the hostel to begin with because they sided with someone else. Yet he was being picked on and bullied. Guys, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't know. I don't know what else we want before we think, talking about racism is not going to cramp our style, and being intense with talking about the matter is not going to cramp our style in front of our white workmates and and you know, and not to make anybody feel uncomfortable. I'm telling you because I'm saying the movement we've been having movements about racism since Teosi's death, since Give Racism the Red Card. They've done nothing. But I've learned, I'm studying about the African American movement, and it is their intensity. It is their intensity. It is their intensity, their fearlessness that even get what they have at the moment that is miles away from us. It won't be the mere time. There won't be the mere presence of time. The idea that time, and I love when Martin Luther King says this in an interview, the illusion that time itself will fix a situation is a lie. It is how we handle that time. And if we are doing what we've always done, just these small campaigns that have a tone in it that is moderate and itching, and for itching ears, we need movements now that they're damn near going to think that we're bad people. I'm going to tell you that. I've lost fear of people. When I'm so happy when I can get sisters like this on the phone. I have lost fear of people thinking I'm not a nice guy. I don't care what you think about me. I don't care. I more care about situations like this. I more care about the little black girl who's going to school and is being bullied. That's what I care about. I don't care about what you think of me and how it made me look. If my movement is intense, not only are people dying physically, but people are dying psychologically. But my question is for you. My question is for you, black community in Ireland. When? Please make sure to like this episode, share it. And I guess the only route from here is to make sure she gets her justice. We got to force the hand of the government. We got to force the hand of the system by using and weaponizing media. Thank you so much for watching. And I'm on a mission for you.